Welcome to episode 5 of the CGC Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, CGC, and I'm joined by.
Kal 313. No yeet.
And before we get started officially with the show, Kal-El's got something he wants to say.
Rest in power to cartoonists, manga artists, anime movie creator, video game designer extraordinaire, Akira Toriyama. I can't tell you how much time I probably spent enjoying his artwork and designs. Him and Yoshitaka Amano are kind of like synonymous with games that I would, put tons and tons of time in because of the role playing elements or the fighting elements from Cabal to Dragon Ball Fighters. Like, this guy was a really just amazing, awesome, and out of just totally different type of manga artist. One that to this day I still think has probably the most cartoonist kind of vibe going with his work. So yeah, just rest in power. We'll miss you, buddy.
Yeah, definitely am saddened to hear about the passing of Akira Toriyama, someone who played a big role in actually my later teenage years. Was when I discovered Dragon Ball in high school, and I spent a lot of time with my friends from high school, going to conventions and getting the VHS tapes of the series all the way up to GT. That's how old I am, and I had a wonderful time watching his stuff, and yeah, he'll be missed. But he did leave a great impact on the world in video games, art, even the music for his shows. I'm not sure if he designed that or not. Is iconic.
Chrono Trigger alone, bro.
Exactly. Chrono Trigger's probably got some of the best music in video game history. Mana. I don't think he did Mana. I don't think he did.
He did not. I'm sorry, he did Chrono Trigger.
He definitely did Chrono Trigger. He did Blue Dragon.
Yeah.
And he did Dragon Quest / Dragon Warrior, which is a huge video game series.
He's got the new one coming out.
Yeah, Sandland.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be missed. It's always sad when someone who helped forge your youth, your childhood passes away. I think last weekend we lost the creator of the Backyardigans. Yeah, so it's been a pretty rough week if you're an adult. A lot of your heroes are disappearing, but such is life. Unfortunately, we all get old. We all expire one day, and unfortunately, this week we lost a great one in Akira Toriyama. Rest in power. With that out of the way, what's on the slate today, Calum?
Okay, got a couple of big ones here. The first one, throw you a curveball. Just your thoughts and reactions. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but Wesley M. Poole over at IGN has an interview with ex PlayStation boss Shaw Lake.
Yeah, I think I saw this. Go ahead.
When he talks about exclusivity as your Achilles heel, if your game costs exceed $200 million. And then he breaks it down. It really just becomes an addressable market kind of conversation. The same thing you have with games and service as well. So if you have a big budget exclusive, your weakness is exclusivity. And if you have games as service, your weakness is exclusivity. What's your take on these two kind of tentpole game designs?
So, Sean Layton said this years ago. Mm-hmm. He quite literally said around the time of his exit as the head of PlayStation Studios, he said that, he said that, look, we the price of these exclusives or these games in general, it wasn't even just exclusives he was talking about, but the price of games in general is inflating, and it's going to be hard to manage the cost in comparison to what you're making after you put the game out on the market. We're seeing the results of that now. Like, I think COVID kind of lulled people and not these companies, but like people in general, and maybe these companies to an extent, especially Sony, right? Into this idea that they could just spin. And now we're seeing the results of that and how bad of an idea that was. So you take a look at something like Helldivers, which probably has a budget of, I would say, probably no more than $100 million, if even that. They launched it on 2 platforms, and I'm pretty sure, based on its popularity, they've probably already made that money back. One, because, it's a smaller budget game, and then 2, because they launched it on 2 platforms, and one of those platforms, which isn't a PlayStation, is actually pushing the game more than the platform of the actual publisher. Now they say the split is like 40-60, but I believe it's 60 leans toward PC players. And I think that's not necessarily exactly what Sean Layton's talking about, but like, I think Sony is still the same language. I think Sony would have benefited from putting Spider-Man on Switch and Xbox. I absolutely think they would have.
It would have been cloud on Switch though.
Yeah, I mean, but still, who wouldn't have bought it?
Yeah,
people would have bought it on there.
Yeah,
like people,
they buy the Resident Evil's cloud.
I'm about to say the Resident Evil's on there. I think a Final Fantasy is on there through the cloud. One of the Final Fantasy.
Switch Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so it's Final Fantasy 16 would have benefited from at least launching on PC day and date. They kept it to the PlayStation, and it struggled. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth apparently is selling less than the last 2 Final Fantasies, including 16 and its prequel. And it launched exclusively on PlayStation, no PC version. Nobody's saying you got to put it on Xbox day one, but I mean, at least put it on PC. What are we doing? And I think Square Enix kind of stuck in they're stuck in a sticky situation right now where they've contracted these games out to Sony and not seeing the results to quantify that purchase. That check that they took. They've already closed down one studio because the game didn't do well, and the Forsaken. Forsaken Studio. The Forsaken Studio shut down. And that game did launch on PC, I believe, day and date. But, it probably should have been on multiple platforms. And now that studio's closed, that game will probably never reach a Switch or Xbox. And it might have actually found a fan base on there if it had launched day one. But there's, that history of, let's lock our game to this platform and never put it anywhere has bitten a lot of companies it's not a smart idea. I don't mind exclusives if the company you're giving it to actually put money in on the development of it, or they're publishing it and you're working on it as a second party. But I have always been against the idea of weaponizing third-party software and any software involving popular IP to one console. It's not a good idea. It's a very, very bad strategy, and it's starting to bite everybody who's doing it in the butt.
Might be your only strategy though. Like depending on your studio's. Okay, so these layoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
A huge component, and it's for anyone that's doing code, anyone whose product is code. A lot of these layoffs are directly related to the market disruptor that is AI, period. If you don't think that people whose product is code aren't receiving daily, if not hourly, updates on what they can and can't do, you know what I mean? Then you're not kind of seeing how it's playing out in the real world. Like, it's going to change a lot of things. That's why they're condensing. And that's why you're getting the opposite side at where people are unionizing, like the Microsoft quality assurance.
There's 600 developers, yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, and that's just QA.
Right.
Yeah, so that might be anyone from they just quality assurance. Like they make sure people are doing what they're supposed to do. If not, the game is doing what it's supposed to do. If not, just be game testers, right? That's probably why so many of them. But like you're seeing these things happen, and they're all related. Um, the price for these high development games, they're gonna go lower. They're gonna shoot down in price.
They're gonna have to at this rate.
Well, the AI itself, like we keep talking about you sit down and look at what Real brings to the table that you and I can build. There's no way. There's no way that they'll have to pay this kind of pricing.
Right.
If you look at the fact that your intro song, you built that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that technology is going in the hands of people who are both trained on the tech and the music side. So, like, you're going to see a lot more reductions, but I don't know, man. It's wild as all get out. Um, I don't know if exclusivity though is the devil because of that though. Because like, let's say you're a smaller team, you didn't kickstart. Um, you're more of a true independent. Maybe you got one angel investor or something like that. And to finish your project, you need a big company to come in and co-sign you and give you the check to be exclusive. So I mean, I can see it both ways, right? One way is
so like that's the whole point, right? With Helldivers doesn't need to come out on Xbox. It doesn't need to come out on Switch. If it would be nice if more people could play it, because then you'd have more people, fighting for democracy, as they say in the game. But you don't need it to come out on those platforms because it's doing well. But it also didn't poison pill itself with a super high budget. That's the difference. Like when you and it just goes back to what Sean Layton said. If you're spending over $200 million on this game and you're only putting it on one machine, that's a problem. You are setting yourself up for a version of failure that you're not going to be willing to deal with. And I think, as you mentioned for a second there, that's probably why Deviation Studios apparently was closed late last year. This is what what was that? A good 80 or 90 people that lost their jobs because of that studio closing.
And what was their last project they worked
on? They didn't even get a project off the ground. So apparently what they were supposed to be making was a live service game for PlayStation. And they didn't even get it out the gates. I don't even think we saw a trailer for what their game was supposed to be. So, I mean, that's the problem. It's just like that game is for all intents and purposes, might have just been an innocent bystander of the failure of, Spider-Man and a bunch of other games that cost too much and didn't necessarily hit the numbers that they needed it to hit. Never forget, like Sony's president just came out and said, "Yeah, we're not releasing a major game until 2025, and from one of our major franchises." So it's like, why aren't they doing that? Because the budget says they probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, they shouldn't. They definitely shouldn't. They should. Netflix did it for them.
So
Netflix approach: make one big game here or there, and then license up a bunch of content. If not publish independent guys content. Like I don't mind exclusive if they're publishing indies.
If you're helping a small team, fine, but a big IP exclusive or paying Square Enix not to make a Xbox version of the game, like, dude, what are we doing? What are we doing, really? So that's playing out right in our faces, and unfortunately, a lot of people are losing their jobs because of it. It sucks. I got friends who work in the industry, people I graduated with, and it's scary times. I end up having to call people all the time, send them messages, how you doing? Were you affected by this? So on and so forth. It's, it sucks, man. But I mean, these companies got to start being more responsible with this money. And that's really all it comes down to. A video game shouldn't be costing $250 $30+ million to make. Like, what are you making at that point? Especially if it's just a single player game that's, once you beat it, there's really nothing else to do in it. Like,
I think we were safe before the big billion-dollar companies got involved. I think the kind of money they were aiming to make, millions. You know what I mean? I think when gaming was a little bit smaller, but now it's such a. I mean, it's Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo going at it, and Nintendo's just the legacy guy.
I think it was bad even back then. We don't have we don't have Xbox. I mean, we don't have a Sega machine now because they made $100+ million flop called Shenmue.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
and they were a pure video game company at that point. Is like these mistakes have been happening for a minute now, and it's people are acting like Sega didn't exist, and they didn't end up falling off the way they fell off.
It's because
for that particular reason.
It's because the game magazines want you to love what they love.
Yeah.
So
we can roll right into that one. That was good.
They tell you that simulations of delivering the mail are the greatest thing ever, especially with undead space babies next to them.
Right.
But they're not. These games aren't good. So let's talk about that. Right?
What game are you talking about in particular, sir?
Oh man, I don't want to get the metal.
Oh no, spit it out. I've never heard of this concept.
Oh, the one where the guy and he's delivering the mail and he's got the dead people and he's got the baby in the backpack, but the baby's like in a jar.
Oh, you talking about Death Stranding?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're gonna piss the Kojimites off.
Kojimites deserve it.
Yeah.
Y'all know good games exist. Go play a Plague Tale.
Okay, so let's get into this because I'm not even gonna. I could definitely contribute to this. We've had conversations like this before. I may in a minute. Let me see how I feel in like 5 minutes. Right?
Is a huckster. He's a huckster, people.
Again, I may contribute to this in a moment. Just give me a second to mull over this real quick.
I love that you love it, so I'm not taking it out of it. Love what you love.
But herein lies the problem, right? And I think he recently got the rights to that game back from 505, which awesome. I think 505 shut down a couple of studios. Yeah, I think also Remedy got the rights back to Control from them.
Yeah,
because
they're not gaming business, they are. Like,
really?
You know what? I don't know. It seems like it though. It seems like they're selling IPs back.
Well, all right. So time to tell on that. So getting back to that's crazy. Getting back to what you were talking about. Yeah, I think gaming magazines and websites and these tastemakers who seem to be stuck on this idea of only these kinds of games are good. Like, so I think I sent to you in the pre-production notes that I have a kind of a problem with a review I recently read, and I won't go into too many details of it, but like the commentary for in the video for the review from IGN about this particular game, even some of the people in the commentary is like, so you're complaining about this game being what it's always been. And, there are people who understand that, a lot of times these people's opinions are just their opinions, and you definitely have the right to disagree with said opinions. But the issue is that most people who think like that are a very small minority, right? Most people are going to look at those reviews. I've literally had full-blown conversations, you could call them arguments if you want to, with people who like, oh, no, this game can't be bad because IGN gave it a 10 out of 10. Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell does that have to do with my actual opinion of the game that I played? So the game in particular I'm talking about is Uncharted 3. I hate that game. I think that game is the absolute worst, and that's everybody's entitled to their opinion, right?
Wiggle
But I think Uncharted 3 is the weak spot of the franchise. It is the one Uncharted game that I detested so much I did not finish it. It's the only Uncharted game I don't have a finish the story trophy or whatever you would call it in. That game sucks to me. It's the worst. It's just there's this one area where it seems like there's a constantly streaming spawn of enemies, and it does not stop. And they want you to do this stealth stuff. And if you do it wrong, then they start popping up, and they never stop despawning. And eventually, you run out of bullets to kill the damn guys with. I hate that game. It's like and it's just this one level. It's on a boat, I believe. It's that one level, but it's like it bothered me so much that I just deleted it off my PS3. Didn't finish it. Hate that game. But the grifters and the tastemakers have kind of ruined through their own engineering how the games industry works. And I want you guys to understand Sony was only making these big AAA ridiculously sized budget games because the tastemakers were saying, oh yeah, this is what makes PlayStation the best. You know, these third person narrative as there's a guy who's he's an Xbox. I forget his name, and forgive me for not remembering your name, man. But he you know, he talks mess about, you know, the PlayStation games because, you know, there's a back and forth between those two communities. And he calls the PlayStation games the third person walk with your dad through the forest games. and if you, it's like, as much as I hate to play into the narrative, he's not lying. There's a bunch of those, right? That's what they made. They made a whole bunch of those for like the last decade and some change, and now it's not working.
Yeah,
Where yeah, now when Sony used to have like the Jet Motos and the Twisted Metals, which apparently they also just canceled recently because it was a live service game. It was just like that, you know, you couldn't say there was a point in Sony's history where you could tell me nothing about what Sony couldn't make. Yeah. Now it's just like, yeah, they kind of whittled themselves down. Like what they did was they got comfortable with letting third-party companies and contracted companies make all the unique experiences, and they kind of stayed in one bag. And now that bag isn't working so well. At least that's what it was seeing.
That was the plan, right? That's why they shut down all of Japan and most of Europe studios.
Yeah, but I mean, now we're seeing, though, was that a mistake?
No, it was them adapting to the market. I think businesses are flexible, and they'll hire when it's time to hire.
They ain't hiring right now.
Oh, no need. Once again, too many market disruptors. They've proven that they can make more with less. They can take the Nintendo approach now. So they have to rethink about.
Can they? Plus, yeah. They don't have a game that sells like Nintendo's games.
How much? What is Helldivers at?
It more than likely ain't did Zelda or Mario numbers. It probably ain't even did Metroid numbers.
I mean, do we have an idea how many it sold so far?
No. But I wouldn't hold it to having those kind of numbers.
It's doing better than Nintendo's sci-fi series. Both of them. It's doing better than Xenoblade, and it's doing better than
it's possible.
Metroid.
It's also a multiplayer game, so that helps. And it also releases on PC. And you know how Nintendo feels about PC with the recent shutdown they did with all of those emulators.
Oh yeah. They're the only ones that gets they can avoid it.
Yeah. So. I don't know. Time will tell. I think what people need to realize is that the most vocal people on the internet, even, you know, ourselves, we're still the nerds, right? We're still that minority group of people who care about this stuff enough to talk about it for an hour or two every week on a podcast or report something about it on our X feed or a YouTube channel every week. Most people don't care about this stuff to the extent that you think they do. Case in point, Xbox has no games, right? That's like a saying amongst the console warriors. Why is Sea of Thieves the number one pre-order game on PlayStation in 3 regions right now when Stellar Blade and Rise of Ronin is coming out?
Because right now we're in a wave of co-op gameplay.
Rise of
Right?
Ronin has co-op
Yeah, but like four players jumping into a boat, 20 players jump into a boat, and it's
with kind of
not.
a battle royale thing. Yeah.
Yep, and it's not violent looking like the Skull and Bones. You know, it's not tedious. Like this has a known track record of being like hop in, hop out. It's in that same lineage as like Fortnite and Rocket League. You know what I mean? Um, as far as the content being, a little scary, but generally kid friendly. Ground is the same way, so that should probably,
I think Ground
um,
is going to
hell,
really kill. I think that one's going.
well,
I think
uh,
Microsoft's going to see a return on that one. That's going to be crazy.
yeah, Helldivers and Relink are both, super popular, and they're both, Monster Hunter kind of flipped it on its head. Like having a popular and good Monster Hunter at the same time with Monster Hunter World, that kind of brought back that style of gaming again. Because for a while, that kind of co-op wasn't, you could have versions of it like Far Cry or whatever, Grand Theft Auto, but it
PS
didn't.
on Dreamcast. Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't designed for that type of co-op. And you're seeing it. You know, PlayStation guys don't have access if you don't have a Switch and you live in a vacuum where all you have is your PlayStation. Well,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have access to Splatoon, which means that you should at least try it out, Foam Stars, right? But people
No.
aren't even trying the game, and it's not because it's a bad game or anything. I think the mindset now is to move away from we versed ourselves out, we battle royaled ourselves out.
Well, for me, it's not even that. I don't care about Splatoon enough to try not Splatoon.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't, I don't play Splatoon. Like I bought Splatoon and literally was like, oh, okay, it's pretty cool. My wife enjoys it, but it's not my kind of shooter.
Right.
So I commend Square for trying.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for me it was something I never was gonna play anyway because I don't play Splatoon, so I was playing non Splatoon wasn't an option.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Call of Duty cemented its success when it said, okay, we're with the exception of the last one, right? We're going to give you generally three quality experiences. We give you a quality co-op experience, which becomes zombies. We give you a quality online competitive experience, which is Warzone and just normal deathmatch. All the stuff you're killing each other at. And
mm-hmm.
then we give you a single player, where we tell you a whole story and it's nuanced usually, but still very Michael Bay-ish.
Right.
So I think they figured it out. And Grand Theft
They
Auto
hit
does a
every
larger
note.
version of it. Yeah. GTA definitely does a larger version of it, much more isolated on the online side. Um, and I think everybody's kind of looking for that. Everybody's kind of looking to generate that kind of income, but they won't be able to. Sometimes have to generate small income and make really small, awesome. You know, most of the games I play are indies. And going back to the tastemakers, I love it when they champion an indie. But this is just one thing I want you guys to understand is uh, every other art form in the similar kind of media trifecta of like, movies and TV shows is one column, right? One leg. Video games is one leg, and then music, modern music is one leg, right? Those three media forms are uniquely intertwined and they feed off each other. You can throw animation in there, all the same thing, right? It's funny to me that in music and in movies and television, we're all comfortable with genres and subgenres and subgenres. And it wouldn't even, if you're somebody like me, who is a CW monster, I can't get enough of it. Just give me more. Legends, yes. Flash, yes. All that. Just give it to me. Supernatural, people say it's horrible. I get it,
Great
but
show.
this is my stuff, right? This is what I did. It wouldn't make me want to be like, oh, the people that watch This Is Us don't know what a good whatever is, right? like because it's so nuanced, it's so different. Like the genres are so different. Um, I couldn't say this Beyonce album was a great country music album because I just don't know that much about country. I know a little bit more about blues, and blues rock. but I haven't done my chops for country. I haven't listened to the top, even what people say what 100 country music artists are. Um, their seminal works or most celebrated works. So I have no frame of reference. So I can't tell you what a good or bad country song is outside of its context or racial structure or whatever. What else is going on in the meat of the song? But I really can't tell you. I couldn't tell you. I love hip hop, but I couldn't tell you what a great UK drill song is. I couldn't tell you what a great US drill song is because it's so nuanced, right? Games are the same way, but worse. Because games have particular, I don't know, reward, gameplay loops, visual stimuli.
Like we wouldn't know what the best cell phone match 3 game is.
Yeah, yeah. But beyond that, like, if I laid out all the visual storytelling games that I played, and I say, well, out of the ones that I played, to this day, I still really like The Walking Dead, the first one from Telltale. But somebody else is like, well, yeah, but I prefer, Detroit Being Human. Or I prefer, uh, uh, Life is Strange, True Colors, right? We're all talking about this. We're all in the same language of these games that are sort of like movies. And let's say somebody's like, oh, I prefer Death Stranding. And it's sort of like a game that's like a movie, right?
Right.
Throw that in there. I will understand why everyone, said those things. But if it's in a genre that I'm just a little bit outside of with my point and click adventures or whatever, then I probably couldn't. I'm like, well,
You couldn't relate.
Couldn't relate. I couldn't relate. I couldn't, more of an
But
RTS guy than a 4X strategy guy, so I couldn't tell you what's the best 4X between Endless Legend and Civilization 7 or whatever. I don't know.
so like even right now, like I think one of the biggest games on Steam right now is I think it's a version of Solitaire called Balatro.
Yeah, a Switch is just tearing it up on Switch. They took it off and put it back on her.
Yeah, so it's just like there's room for all kinds of games, and I think that the tastemaker issue is that sometimes they love to put the big movie game in the forefront or the big shooter in the forefront, and they don't concentrate on smaller stuff, which is why sometimes you'll see oddball videos during the podcast like this. WWE 2K24 just came out, and I have that, and it's pretty cool. I think it's one of the better games they've made in a while, but this game is actually really good, and I don't think it did very well because of how it looks, how it plays, and it's not because it plays bad or it looks bad, but it doesn't have realistic looking characters, and it doesn't have a huge roster, and it plays like a game that a lot of people probably don't remember. WWE or WWF WrestleFest from back in the day. And it's just like, it's unfortunate that, this art isn't going to be appreciated by as many people as it probably should, because people aren't going to give it a chance based off of how it looks. Like, I remember people making fun of and clowning Vampire Survivor. And that game was amazing. And luckily enough, luckily enough, Vampire Survivors did great numbers, sold really well. And it's an awesome game.
Oh, yeah.
You don't, and all, yeah.
Graphics is the service of the game and make the game. Look at Among Us. Without those graphics, it wouldn't be Among Us.
Right, absolutely. It would be one of several games, because it's not like that concept was new, right? Like if you watch enough horror game channels, you've seen that concept before, but it didn't look like that, and it didn't connect with people the way it did. Like that, like you can, as violent as Among Us can be, you can play that with kids. I remember over the the whole COVID situation, there were teachers who were playing that game with their students to break the ice, and which is really cool. And you know what I'm saying? They're like, but you miss out on that stuff when you just listen to these people that only want AAA banger and this, that, it's just like, dude, there's way more to gaming than just Spider-Man or Halo or Gears of War or Final Fantasy. There's way more to gaming than that. Change your mindset, get used to trying different things. Get a damn Game Pass subscription. They put a whole bunch of that stuff on it. I can't tell you how many things I found just from playing Game or Humble Bundle. It's another one. Humble Bundle, Game Pass, Itch.io. That's a whole website full of like independent made games with really cool gameplay loops. The games don't necessarily look like something you would spend $70 on, but it costs a fraction of that, and you'll probably have more fun playing it.
PlayStation Plus always gives out, their 3 are always worth it.
Yeah. Any of those services.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's some of you younger guys, man, get that Nintendo. If all you got is a Switch, get that Nintendo Online service. They put old stuff on there all the time. $20 a year. 30-something bucks for like 5 of you guys. Just put your money together, get that, man. And they put old stuff on there. You can play GoldenEye on there right now online.
That's the craziest part about I get wanting to defend emulation. I get the need to emulate your older games when they're not on the market. Like, I get all that already. But at the end of the day, like, you could just get a Switch and throw out $20. They give you so much.
Or you can get Antstream on Xbox or PC.
Oh, yeah. What is that, like $50 a year or something?
70. No, if you pay $70, I think you get the lifetime subscription. And you just 1,300 retro games.
And they have
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm for emulation as much as the next guy, because honestly, there's a lot of stuff that you just ain't gonna be able to play anymore due to licenses and restrictions like that. But like, I think if we could touch on that for a moment, I think the biggest mistake that the Yuzu team made was like, dude, it's current gen. You guys are being aggressively like. You're being aggressive with a current gen thing. When Nintendo said, yeah, people downloaded 1 million copies of Tears of the Kingdom before it even went to market, I was like, oh, they're screwed. They're cooked.
It was the moment that they took profit from it.
Yeah.
And not just development funds, but the moment they made it profitable, that's when it became fully illegal. Unless you can't make money off of somebody else's digital IP. Like, even if those games went, well, see, that's got to happen, right? Sooner or later, has any game become public? What's it called?
Public domain.
Yeah, has like Tetris or anything become public domain?
No, I don't think anything is public domain in gaming. I think everything's locked down to something. Yeah.
So what was like when did Pong come out? That should be coming up.
Pong belongs to Atari.
When it came out.
So, and Atari's doing a resurgence of it. So I don't even think that one's going to hit public domain anytime soon. Because doesn't that reset if you make a new version of it or something?
Because look at this,
it doesn't.
Right? Steamboat Willie actually.
Steamboat Willie, Mickey Mouse said he just went free domain late last year?
Yeah, but they have until 2050 before Pong.
Yeah, I mean,
game that was public
domain. I mean, somebody's definitely going to steal it, right? But
oh yeah.
Somebody's gonna do something with it just for s and giggles. But
our kids are gonna make a Pong horror movie.
Yeah, that'll be funny. I actually would play that.
Apparently, anything that goes public domain, you just make. They had the Winnie the Pooh one. They're making a Mickey Mouse one. Like whatever goes public domain, just make a horror movie of it.
I'm down with it. Yeah. Let's see what's next on the agenda here. Virtua Fighter 6.
Yoo-hoo.
Big deal. Rumors are starting to rev up of a Virtua Fighter 6 being made.
They said it's in development.
Yeah.
A Sega representative. So
apparently it's been in development since 2010 or something like that.
Yeah. The Yakuza team, same guys who did the last one.
And it's apparently a part of their whole super game project that Sega's been hyping up, which I guess has something to do with a huge revision of their games. Funny enough, I also saw that they trademarked Eternal Champions again. So maybe Eternal Champions is coming back out as well. I can't wait to see this. The details on it say it's going to be heavy on esport, and some people might have been upset about that, but I don't understand why, since Virtua Fighter was essentially one of the earliest esports games, if not the esports game, especially in Japan. If you were a fighting game player and you wanted to make money off your prowess, you played Virtua Fighter. It had TV shows, it had numerous tournaments. A lot of the guys that are big in Street Fighter and Tekken, a lot of things now, they were Virtua Fighter guys, the older ones anyway. I think this is good. I can't wait. Virtua Fighter was my first 3D fighting game, and it was the first fighting game that I really went in depth with as far as learning all of the moves and the counters and the techniques and what could and couldn't work. I think 4 had probably the best training system ever. This is like the first game you didn't need the manual that came in the box. Remember manuals? I'm looking forward to this. Yakuza team is making it. Apparently, they're going to reimagine the characters because I think Virtua Fighter's biggest problem has always been that like the main character, if you can even call him that, is just his name is Akira, but for all intents and purposes, he's white gi karate guy.
Yeah.
Even though he's not doing karate, I think he's actually doing Chinese martial art. But like the characters up until like maybe late 4, early 5 were very generic looking, and then when they did try to step out, they kind of jumped the shark with them. Like Gold's pretty cool, but I believe his name is Jean is kind of like weird looking.
I've heard other people say this, and I disagree. And I think you have to look at Virtua Fighter from the lens of Yu Suzuki, who was a huge fan of Chinese culture, right? Which is why he made China such a major component of Shenmue.
Right.
So you have to look at how he handles his Chinese characters, and those characters he handles them with so much love and care.
Oh yeah. He knew a guy who looks apparently like Lei Fei.
Yo, the Drunken Master was
that
was before Tekken's version of the Drunken Master. That animation, the love was actually just in the animation and the design of him. Like he was straight from Jackie Chan's Drunken Master.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so like they were, the
animation and styling wasn't the problem. It was the look and the
shadows.
Yeah, no, it's not even that, right? It's literally the look. Like so, Tekken took off because there was a story behind it. By that point, you were used to fighting games in America having a story. Also, don't never forget, at that time, Sega had a couple of fighting games out. I recall Eternal Champions being more popular than Virtua Fighter, which actually created a lot of conflict between Sega of America and Sega of Japan. And Eternal Champions, there's not too many people that will tell you it was, without question, a better game than Virtua Fighter, but it had a personality because there was a story and a plot to it, and you had a reason to care about these characters. I had no problem with it. Obviously, it's one of my favorite games ever, but I don't think it was latched on by audiences because they didn't sell them on the idea of these characters. It's like, look, this is what this guy does. Pick him if you like this style. Yes, he dresses like this, but that's not the point. Whereas Tekken was like, yeah, you want to play with a pro wrestler? Well, this one happens to be a Jaguar. So, it's proven that it worked. So,
I think it's more just tastemakers. Honestly, I think
again, yeah, absolutely.
Got hit by tastemakers. It was
absolutely
Tekken was because it's the same thing with Soul Calibur, right? Soul Calibur 6. It's like the best Soul Calibur since 2. And no love for it. There's no love in the community for it outside of people that play Soul Calibur. Like it's fighting games are very subjective to taste makers. Some reason why Capcom's been around for so long running the show.
And even they have dropped so many. Right? They've
clearly a better game developer.
They've literally whittled down to one game. Like I think there's better playing Capcom fighters than Street Fighter. I personally, I'm not talking about Street Fighter in general. I'm just saying that I would prefer to have a new rival schools, but I know that's not going to happen because Street Fighter is, the crown jewel in that set of games that they've made. You're not going to get a new Red Earth or Darkstalkers or any of that stuff. It's probably not going to happen because it's Street Fighter or bust. So,
I never rival schools like that. Like I played it, but the 3D shaky textures that Tekken 1 had, that game had it too.
Oh, I mean, to avoid that, just go to Project Justice on Dreamcast.
Now that looked good.
That totally, negates that. So, like I said, it's literally just, again, it probably won't happen because it's just, we're at that point now where doing too many, types of one game you know, like most fighting games, like you said, if the tastemakers don't mess with it, it'll fade into obscurity. Yeah.
You'll smoke.
It's like
Right.
I honestly think Mortal Kombat benefits because you know a lot of people don't like this Mortal Kombat, but it's still around because it's MK. You know,
it's MK, and this one is still the easiest to play for people, and that's the main problem at a highest level, which is why you're seeing like hands down favorites getting bodied by like 13, 14-year-olds.
that I haven't seen. I haven't watched too much Mortal Kombat though,
Oh
to
yeah,
be
yeah,
honest.
even Fox caught one. Yeah, Ninja Killer, like everybody's catching L's just because this one's the simplest to play. Because Striker makes everybody a little bit better.
Now, see, I heard it was I heard that what was it? Cyrax was a menace when the game first came out.
Yep,
I heard his assist was a menace.
They nerfed it, but he's still a menace. Yeah, all the menaces are still menaces. It's just there's certain characters that carry low ranks.
So and apparently John Cena's a handful as well. His Peacemaker character.
Oh man.
Speaking of older games, I know we kind of rolled into that a little bit, but Time Splitters 4 footage leaked out to the public. Obviously, I won't show it here because I don't want that kind of smoke. I'm not into getting sued. But I was a huge fan of Time Splitters. I own pretty much every version of Time Splitters. I'm ashamed to admit. Not PC, Xbox, PlayStation 1, 2, and 3, Xbox 2 and 3, and GameCube 2 and 3. And man, I saw this footage, and I rarely say this about something I love, but I understand why it was canceled. We'll probably have a link to it or the footage on a website that's officially covering it. Again, I don't want to be responsible for any problems that might come with that. And the link may or may not still be up. I think it will be because the studio's closed down, so I don't think it's anybody's actual intellectual property at this point. But if you see this game, if you're a fan of Time Splitters, this is not what you wanted. It's certainly not what I wanted. And I don't want to be a tastemaker or anything like that and say, oh, you wouldn't like this. Maybe some of you will. But like it just to be descriptive, it looks like Fortnite. It looks like something that would have immediately been compared to Fortnite and would have failed because there's nothing that differentiates it from Fortnite. It's third person. I had a battle pass. Yeah, third person. I had a battle pass with skins to collect, and I'm like, no wonder, like, because this game has been resurfaced and then killed and then resurfaced for years. Like, it's been happening for a while, and now it is officially canceled. And someone leaked the footage of it, and it doesn't look like something, as a fan of the original 3 games, that I would have wanted. Again, certainly, who am I? I'm just a person with an opinion on the internet, but I can see why it got canceled. I like so a lot of times when stuff like that happens, right? I want to look at it from a business aspect, and I'm thinking, who the publishers of that game? The publisher of that game would have been the Embracer Group, and I'm looking at that, and I'm like, man, this is going to get killed by something that already exists that does the same thing already. So it's just like,
well, and that was Embracer's whole thing, is to get the second place, but only put enough money in it to make the second or third place. Like, if you're going to get Time Splitters, that should be a cheap game. Just like Saints Row should be a cheap game.
And it looked like a game where they were going to have to spend money on it. Yeah. And they would have had to keep putting money in it because it was set up for live service. And it's just like, I don't know whose idea was it to do something like that. Maybe it was Free Radicals, or the developers of the series, or maybe it was Embracers, but I don't think that would have worked. I think they dodged a bullet, unfortunately canceling. I hate that studio got shut down and those people lost their jobs, but I think whoever would have been publishing that dodged a bullet because it just does not look like it would have worked. And not because I don't think it would have been fun. I think it would have been killed by association to everything else that's tried to take on the juggernaut that is Fortnite.
against everybody else to Overwatch kind of situation,
Yeah,
where
like
all these developers kind of had the same mentality, and some had the same design philosophies. And they made
like
similar games, but
it's
nothing survived. But
it's crazy, right? Like I hear people trash on Overwatch all the time, right? Because I've heard people say they don't like the fact that it's 5-on-5 now, or they don't like the gameplay flow in general, and obviously 5-on-5 is a part of that. But like they also just showed a trailer for a Cowboy Bebop crossover, and people were hyped because it's in that pocket now where regardless of how bad or good it is, it won't fail despite itself.
it's become a platform like Fortnite.
Yeah, it's become something where, like, never forget, Overwatch killed like 2 or 3 games to on its way to becoming what it is now. It had contenders. It killed Cliff Blazinski's game Lawbreakers. It killed the Gearbox game that was, I guess it was kind of took place in the Borderlands universe. It killed that game.
Yeah.
It made what's the one that the Smite team makes? It pushed that one into the background. And that one came out first.
Oh, Paladins. I didn't know
Paladins.
that.
It pushed Paladins into the background.
That deserves so. Paladins like Dota's too complex with the items and all that stuff.
Yeah, but it was out first.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened? It's one of those things, man, where again, going back to the time splitters, is like, you would have put that out, man, you probably would have got buried. Now, I would have supported it because I love the franchise and I want to see it back. But hell, I also want to see Urban Reign back. And I already know if Namco even bothered to try that, it would die a horrible death. And they know it too, which is why they haven't done it. Yeah, man. I think we pretty much covered everything. Did you I guess we could talk about this. The head of Moon Studios, Thomas Mahler, and this kind of goes back into the tastemaker subject, right? I guess there was a rumor going around that there was some kind of conflict between Moon Studios, the creator of the Ori series, and Xbox, and I thought it was kind of sad that Thomas Mahler had to come out and say, no, we don't have a problem with Xbox at all. We just want to do a co-op cross-platform game, and Microsoft didn't want to do that at the time, so we went with Private Division, which is a subdivision of Take-Two Interactive. And this also leads to something else where, again, there was this story about, once again, Starfield going to PlayStation, and someone who actually has direct access to, Xbox developers and administrators as an interviewer for a magazine or a website that actually covers Xbox and all things Microsoft. Jez Corton, credit to him, he said no, that there's no version of Starfield being made for PlayStation right now. I'm pretty sure it will happen, mind you. It almost has to, right? But I guess leading into my closing thoughts, guys, you have to understand, as I said before, that people like myself and Kal-El and the guys you see on Twitter or X, whatever the heck they call it nowadays, and YouTube and stuff like that, all of these hate videos for Starfield, and it's a soulless product and blah, 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 still one of the top 10 selling games last year. And when it comes to PlayStation, I'm pretty sure it'll all of a sudden be fun to a lot of these people for obvious reasons. These guys are the minority, man. Most people don't care about the stuff. It goes back to the
What are you talking about, bro? Like,
this
walking and mailing simulator is better than your spaceship simulator.
man. Look, dude. Look, I think both of those games. You got to stop with Kojima, dude. I I think they both fit into the same pocket of very divisive games. There's going to be a group of people who love them, and there's going to be a group of people who hate them. But like, we got to stop assuming that these people are the end all be all and that they know everything. Again, Xbox don't have any games, but if you go to the PlayStation store in the UK and the America, and I believe, man, what was the other region? It's not Japan. It might be. I don't think it's Japan though. This is the number one reserve game right now is an Xbox game that is 7+ years old. So, like,
it's not Yarnum. It's not a Yarnum, so it can't be
good. It's because it's not Bloodborne. Gotcha. But it's like, dude, like just I say this every week, and I really do mean it, man. Just play your games, enjoy your games, man. Try what you can get access to as far as gaming. You never know what you might actually like, but don't listen to these people on there. You know, don't listen to somebody like me and Khalil are telling you that, well, mostly Khalil, but I actually co-signed that Kojima's games aren't very good. But if you like watching the game for 45 minutes and then playing it for 10, be my guest. Am I lying? Okay, exactly. I don't like Kojima's games. I do think he's brilliant. I do think that he has stories that he wants to tell. I just don't like the way he tells them in his games.
Everything you just said also applies to Kanye West.
Yeah.
For games.
There you go.
Sub albums out.
Exactly. So, I mean, seriously, you know, it's just like, you know, everything ain't for everybody. And, you know, there's a group of people who, if they ever hear that, they'll get mad. I've had people tell me, how do you not like Kojima games? Easily, I don't like them. That doesn't mean he's terrible. That just means that, you know, the stuff he makes isn't for me. I'm not into it. But like,
every game is nuanced, man.
Every game is nuanced. And before you just listen to me or them and just decide based on our opinions that he sucks or that he's great, try it for yourself. Do that with most of this stuff. This is entertainment, man. Find something that you connect to. Exactly. Find something you connect to. You know, I think the worst thing that this generation of gamers has gotten into is watching somebody else play something and basing their experience off that. Like, if you haven't experienced it yourself, you really have only experienced a small portion of what it can actually be. Like right now, I'm playing this game, Unicorn Overlord.
Okay, what system?
I have it on Switch. It is this very cool. So what I played, from what I played from it so far, is this very cool, like almost like if you've ever played one of those cell phone games where you kind of put an army together and you send them toward another army and there's like an auto battle.
Yeah, auto battle.
It's kind of like that. You know, there's a level of strategy in it based on who you put in, and if your unit gets defeated because the amount of turns in a particular battle rolls out, you can push another unit on them to take their place. But there's so much going on, so much many little details, nuances about it that it's really fun. It's kind of an auto battler, but it's got like a really solid Atlas RPG story behind it, and then it's got that vanillaware art style that is just undeniable, right? Especially if you're a pervert. And I'm just saying, like, let's just
bad in
it's not so bad in that game yet, but like there's definitely some DOA bounce physics going on if you get my drift.
It's really, really, really bad. What was the one we're playing? It's like Double Dragon sort of.
Dragon's Crown. Yeah, the wizard, exactly.
The barbarian lady.
The barbarian wasn't subtle either, right? But a very cool game, a very cool concept, and this is one of those slower paced games that I see myself finishing just because everything they do and it works. And I would recommend it if you're into RPGs. But, you know, there's a demo on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and Switch that you can try, and your progress carries over. Right now, I have the game physical for Switch, but I'm playing on the demo because I want to get a feel for it first. That plus I bought it physical on Switch because I think it's gonna be worth a lot of money one day. It just strikes me as one of those games. Well, we only made 500,000 copies of it, so if you have a copy of it, we'll give you a buttload of money for it, and I'm for that. I'm always for that. But outside of it, very cool game, man. What are you playing right now?
I mistakenly erased my Arcanum profile. So, oh man, I had to go back in and start playing that game again. I guess I'll get another quick 100 hours of it. I love that game. It's so stupid. Um, my palate cleanser for playing that is always Monster Train, so I bounce back to Monster Train.
Have you played Choo Choo Charles yet?
Not yet. Haven't played that one yet. Been been doing a lot of 2K23. Booted up 2K24.
Such a polished game. You
Thumbs
don't
down.
like it?
Oh, I gotta. So making the window of your counter smaller and then telling me, but programming enough time to telling me whether I'm too late or too early.
Oh yeah, it's rough.
I
I think honestly though, I think it's probably the best 2K's ever done as far as polish for that kind of game. Everything from the graphics to how to I think the one thing that's probably gonna piss a lot of people off with that game, especially coming from 2K23, it seems like when you get knocked down, you're down for a minute.
Yeah,
like it takes a while to get up. You really gotta monitor your stamina. You really gotta monitor your counters. You almost have to know like they're reaching, dare I say, fighting game territory with how accurate you have to be with things and how much you have to manage your bars and stuff like that.
You can control that in the menu, though. You can control that in the menu. And
change it.
This one, it does translate to my faction, but that's my other problem.
You have to start over.
Not just that. So it's a couple of problems. One is transitioning from PC to the consoles. The consoles still aren't optimized. So Series X, when you have 3v3, everybody's in the same room and it's like a ladder match, the frames dropped like 47. And it's
for sure.
they still have the shadows going on.
Yep.
So they need to go back in for that mode or just have it understand, okay, if it's more than more than 4v4, we got to dump these shadows because it's trying to maintain the visual fidelity. But I don't run shadows at all in the Ally or the Legion Ghost, so it's locked 60, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then on the PC, I'm running everything 3080 Ti. I will say it doesn't have the texture stutter, which is nice. The moves seem about the same. I like the little fight mini game, even though I'll cut it off because I don't like mini games generally in my one-on-ones.
Right.
But the way it runs factions. So the thing about the last factions is you had two different modes where you had to do the type of games that it wants you to play, right? Like
right.
Hell in the Cell. All the stuff that just drives me crazy. All I want to do is wrestle. I don't want to climb up a ladder and get a briefcase. I don't want to smash somebody through a table.
I did the weekly assignment for the first week, and some of it was hell on earth. But I did get that Sapphire. What's the young lady's name? She's Australian. I think she's a Kiwi. I'm not sure. God, I know I'm gonna mess with her. She just betrayed. She just betrayed Bailey. Dakota Kai. Yeah, you get a Sapphire Dakota Kai for finishing the first week. I did that. And I think you get a superstar pack for finishing the second week. I will say this though, man. Welcome to sports games where every year you gotta restart collecting those items. Well, the cool thing about this year though, right, is that I think people were complaining about, well, the collectibles don't translate to the main roster. You can get a version of a guy from a particular year, and you can't use them in exhibitions, and now this year they've allowed you to do that, and it's so cool.
They've done a lot. It's just from my style of play,
right?
Because last year's factions, if I played 4v4, that's all it was, just clean 4v4 wrestling. I wasn't forced to play the gimmick matches, so now I'm forced to play the gimmick matches. The timing, which you can fix in the settings, the sliders and everything, the timing is still a little bit different, right? And then once again, I'm going from PC to console, so the input is a little different. Um, and then the main thing is, and here's the main thing: on 23, my team is all pink diamond. So now I'm going back and playing.
Now you back with the rusty coppers, my guy. Yeah, I told you, welcome to sports games, man. Like, I don't understand why they don't let you carry over some of your cards from the previous year.
Just one.
And they just apparently they're putting Brock Lesnar back in the game because he's back in the WWE. That's a whole nother subject though. But okay, well, now that we've jumped the shark, what's your go ahead and get your closing thoughts in, man, so we can go ahead and let these people go and get out of here.
Play some Toriyama games, man. Play some Toriyama games.
Yeah. I was going to. Sorry to interrupt, but I was going to hold off on Sandland. I think I might have to go ahead and get that because it did look appealing to me. But now I kind of feel compelled to go ahead and knock that one out.
Yeah. They got it on sale right now everywhere.
Sandland already?
No, but some of this other stuff, Bandai, Bandai's having it.
Oh yeah.
Quarterly sales across Humble and Steam. Normally, when that happens, it's also reflected on Xbox and PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Again, also, shout out to
UFC, super cheap on Xbox right now. UFC 5.
Which one? 4?
5. It's like 20.
Oh, 5, the newest one. Okay. Not into those. How do you feel about those? You play those?
It's the epitome of the wrestling game stuff. I don't like the mini games.
Yeah.
So I would have to play it more. But yeah, it's it seems like the last one, some of the mini games are a little bit easier to control. And they said this one's even better. Like you just kind of push the buttons and it chooses how you want to get off the ground. But I mean, what you're gonna do is still sort of a fighter,
right?
Either you're getting off the ground in the air, or somebody's bouncing you off the ground and taking.
Pretty much. Yeah. With all that said, as per usual, guys, like, subscribe, comment, share this video. Just let us know what you think about what we said. Were we wrong? Were we right? Were we right on the nose? Were we way off? We want to hear from you. We want you to, just let us know what you think, how you feel about some of these subjects. And shout out to Fish6 who gave us a topic about the live service stuff last week. We kind of integrated that into our subjects today. Throw some topics. If you want us to talk about something, I realize that we talk about things from a different perspective. We'll hit you with the business side of it. We'll hit you with the personal feelings about the stuff. We'll give you a little bit of everything because, we try to be as logical as possible and, listen to each other's sides. We don't always agree on anything, but the best thing you could do is listen to other people about something and not be dismissive. And that's not just in video games, that's in life, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
one more. Tell us what you want us to stream. We are looking at getting streaming in.
Absolutely.
We do, as a group, need to restart Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate. I personally play Helldivers. I am down with Baldur's Gate for sure. I even have Gloomhaven, I believe it's called. I just the full set was on sale. I'm really getting into board games. I'm really big into DeMeo on PSVR and Quest 3. Yeah, man, just let us know.
I still gotta use that Quest you gave.
Yeah, you need to. I need to use my Quest 3 while you're playing, but like VR is just one of those things I just can't do it every day. And when I do have a stint of doing it, I kind of end up stopping after a while. But yeah, for sure. Pretty sure I'll get back into it soon. But yeah, guys, that's the show for this week. So it'll probably be Tuesday night when you guys get it. We will see you next week with more news. Hopefully things calm down on the people getting fired in. But we'll see about that. And hopefully you all are safe and sound, and God bless. And we will see you in 7.